One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Rookie Life Podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Prophet, and I want to say thank you so much for joining us today for episode number 35. So if you've ever thought about switching to a more natural lifestyle within your household, like thinking about, are these chemicals harmful, or should I be using bleach, or, is this stuff really going to be good for us in the future? Then this is the episode for you. Today, I'm sitting down with someone and chatting about all the ways that you can switch to a more natural lifestyle within your home gradually. We're not talking about extreme measures or anything that you have to do without or go without if you want to switch to a more natural lifestyle at home. So I'm really excited and I can't wait to jump into it. But I want to just say, if you're new to the Rookie Life Podcast, welcome. Let me tell you some of the other fun things we talk about here. We focus on what it means to start something new, even when you have no idea where to begin, how to develop new skills in all areas of your life, and how to find that it factor that'll keep you motivated every single day. So join us as we dive headfirst into what it means to be a rookie. Come on, rookies. We all have to start somewhere. Okay, so do you know those quizzes, where you can take one to see what kind of Friends character would you be? Are you a Rachel? Are you a Monica? Maybe you're a Phoebe? You know what I'm talking about? Like those silly quizzes that you take and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to share that I'm a Rachel, or whatever the case may be, right? You know those silly personality quizzes I'm talking about. Well, I'm excited because I created one for rookies because I thought, it would be pretty cool to see what kind of rookie you are. So I want you to go check out this new quiz. It's at crystalprofit.com/rookie quiz. And I want you to see what kind of rookie you are. It's just something super fun that I created because, like I said, I love taking these quizzes, and I thought, well, maybe the Rookie Life podcast, I think y'all are going to enjoy it too. So again, that's crystalprofit.com/rookie quiz. Hey rookies, and welcome back to episode 35. Before we get into today's interview, I wanted to remind you of a couple of things. The first is that we always provide the show notes for each episode. So if you're interested in learning more about any of our guests, then head on over to crystalprofit.com/podcast. That's Crystal with the K, Profit with 2 F's and 2 T's, and check out the show notes for this week's episode. You'll also find social media links for any of our guests so you can continue to follow their journey. The next thing I wanted to remind you is to be sure and subscribe to the show so you don't miss any future episodes. There are some really exciting things coming up around the corner, and I can't wait to share them with you. And while you're at it, please rate and review the show on iTunes. We just did a giveaway, and y'all, it's just so much fun to do these things. I can't wait to do more in the future. We're going to keep choosing random reviewers to receive some really cool Rookie Life merchandise. You can leave a star rating between 1 and 5 stars if you'd like, but here's what you have to do to be considered for one of our drawings. You have to leave a comment on what you think of the show, and here are some things to consider when you're leaving a comment. You can tell people what you think of the show. Tell me topics that you want me to talk about or you want to hear about from other entrepreneurs. Or you can just comment of which episode is your favorite. But you have to leave a comment to be considered for one of our drawings. I don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to get some really cool stuff because who knows what the prize is going to be next time. Okay, now that we've gotten all the business side of things out of the way, let's get right into my interview with Amy. So today's guest was someone really fun to interview, and I was so lucky to get to sit down and chat with Amy Kramer, who is the owner of Dragon Spit Apothecary and Crafts. She has this small business that she started about 2 years ago where she wanted to share her growing knowledge and appreciation for natural health, the pursuit of a simpler life, and she wanted to offset the risk of her families from today's corporate world. In addition to her business, she's also a full-time working mom to a beautiful 7-year-old boy, Bradley, 2 golden retrievers, Rosa and Daisy, and she's the wife to her best friend and husband of 11 years, Scott. But through her business, Dragon Spit, she offers her doTERRA natural products and oils and baby and child-sized quilts that she handmakes herself. How awesome is that? And her purpose is to help moms and families take control of their health and their life expenses by finding real, accessible, and economical answers to their needs through living more naturally and simply. She has a blog, which is over a year old now, where she shares her own experiences and her family's journey to simplify their life and tangibly improve their health while reducing expenses when it comes to health, personal care, and their home life. She's finding it so possible to be a good mom and a wife using natural products without being weird, or my favorite word that she used, granola crunchy. So in her blog, she openly talks about the challenges that we all face, particularly women. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about, in balancing work, a business, family, and just life in general while trying to do your best for your family. Oh, she speaks right to my heart whenever she says that. But professionally, she has over 30 years of experience working in healthcare and health insurance, and her background helps her have a deeper understanding of all sides of healthcare and the problems that we have in managing our health. She believes in natural health and traditional medicine can and should coexist, but we won't see disease and illness reduction without being aggressively active in significantly reducing our dependency on chemicals and toxins. Ooh, Amy, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to introduce y'all to her. I can't wait, so we're just going to jump right into my interview with Amy Kramer.
Okay, Rookie Podcast listeners, I'm so excited to introduce you today to Amy Kramer. So, Amy, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so just give us a little bit of background about you and your journey and how it is you are where you are today.
Well, some days I don't know where I am. So it's been a work in progress, right? So I have worked in healthcare for about the past 30 years, normally on the health insurance side, working with doctors with their contracts or building new health plans in different states. And through my journey, obviously corporate America is a really tough place to work. So through my journey, I just became more and more of the belief that there was something more for me and I could do what I loved, which was helping people be healthy and live good lives without the corporate structure. Now, I do still work full-time in healthcare, but I've started my own company called Dragon Spit Apothecary and Crafts. And what I've done is taken what I've learned through healthcare and the expenses and what it takes to be healthy, and I've started adapting that to more of a natural lifestyle, using my own family as guinea pigs. So it's been a transformation for us at home. I started seeing some really good results, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to share this with others because preventative care is where it's at. And even if we get really good at being preventative in our health, we can also then extend that to other areas in our life to improve our overall health and save money and quit giving it to doctors and insurance companies and, putting myself out of a job, basically.
Right. In a good way.
In a good way. Yes. Yes.
Well, that's awesome. Like, it's so interesting. So is there a specific, sorry, I have a toddler that just busted.
No, you're fine.
His brothers, it's Martin Luther King Day, no school.
Yep, here too.
Your brothers are in trouble. They were supposed to be telling you, hang on one second.
Yep.
Come on, come here. Come on. Noah, Nicholas. Hey, boy. Noah, Nicholas. Come here. Y'all turn on something for Ewan. He came in here. Turn on something for Ewan. Turn on Bubble Guppies. In my bedroom. In my bedroom. No Bubble Guppies. I'm on this phone call, okay? Thank you.
Same here. Don't worry about it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I will let y'all play on your iPads later if you just keep him in there. So I have 3 boys.
Yes. Oh my God.
I have 9, 6, and 3 years old. And I'm like, okay, guys, like, this is gut check time.
Right. Right.
So thank you for being understanding.
No, I have a 7-year-old, so I get it.
I'm like, oh, get out of here.
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, so back to what we were talking about. So whenever you mentioned like you wanted to offset your risks for your corporate job, and like potentially giving yourself, putting yourself out of a job, what does that look like for you? Like, what is it? Are you hoping to just like what you're doing and what you're practicing to just be so successful that you're like, hey, this is our new way of life and this is what we're choosing? Is that right? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. So I have, through the course of doing this, I've transformed a lot of our healthcare that we use in our own home. I've transformed our cleaners. Almost 90% of my home now is natural cleaners that either I make or I found an alternative product that works well. And I'm noticing bottom line savings in our family budget from doing these things. So for me, it's more of sharing this with others because it's all things that we can practically do and live, not be too granola crunchy in our lives, right? And not be weird. But still, have that mindset that yes, we can save money, we can be healthy. And even if I do have to work in my corporate job till retirement age, which hopefully that doesn't happen, I've still got this ultimate platform where I can really share this education with other people and show them how to do this in their own lives. So that's really what it's about, is just sharing that, what we've learned along our way to help people, introduce a more simplistic way of living.
That's awesome.
Being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants. Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
So is your platform, is it more about education and why people should do this? Or are you looking to one day, have your own product line, or, what is, I guess, the dream in that aspect for you?
Right. So right now I have a blog that I share our journey with, and I share things that I've learned about this. I actually sell doTERRA essential oils and natural products. I found a lot of good things, results in our own family from that. It's a product line that's really come to mean a lot to us. So I do share that also with people, who are interested in this journey. But I also am very honest, hey, I tried this. It didn't really have the results that I think it should have, but we're using this other thing instead. My favorite example is floor cleaner. So I've got wood floors in our kitchen. You can make your own floor cleaner, right? And it's simple, it's economical, but I'm going to be honest. I like Murphy's oil soap for my wood floors. It works well. It's mostly natural. Why am I going to challenge that if it still fits our family's needs? So I'm very realistic in that aspect of what it means to live natural but make choices that are right for my family,
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, you had me at the word frugal. Like that's my thing.
Yes.
Like, and I've kind of gone on my own little journey with, I started staying at home about 5 years ago, and, I'm like, okay, what ways can we save money? And I started, just buying different kinds of products, like figuring out how to clean the house and do this. And we went through a phase where I was doing a lot of things with vinegar, and my husband was like, I hate the smell of vinegar. Yes. Like, no, this isn't helping. So for someone that, for me, I'm still in this beginning stage, like what's an easy transition, or what's a good place to start if someone wanted to go on this journey to switching from all these chemical products to something more natural?
I'll be honest, I started with the toilets.
Oh, okay.
I really did. Because I'm like your husband, I don't necessarily like the smell of vinegar. But I started with toilets because it was a product that a bottle of cleaner costs between $5 and $7, right?
Right.
And it's this thick blue stuff. And I'm going to be honest, we got 2 dogs. They periodically think that's a personal water bowl. Oh. And, I'm thinking, gosh, what am I putting in the toilet? Could it harm them? Right. So I started with just toilet cleaner, and I learned that I could use the doTERRA Purify essential oil, or Melaleuca, which is tea tree oil, baking soda, and white vinegar. And my toilets came out just as clean as they ever did with the thick blue stuff. And it was a whole bunch less expensive, right? I mean, you can buy a box of baking soda for 50 cents, a gallon of white vinegar for $1. So, and the oils didn't cost that much at all. So by the end of the day, I was spending a whole bunch less. My toilets were clean, and I'm like, hey, there's something to this. So I actually started by flushing the toilet and figuring out how to clean the house, right? And I'm like you, I don't like the vinegar. So over time, I figured out how I could use like apple cider vinegar, or I could use peroxide, or other things that still worked like vinegar, didn't add cost, but still resulted in the savings and the cleanliness that I was looking for. So there are options out there.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's like, you just blew my mind. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about doing it like that, and I think for me, as someone who, I aspire to do these things, to live this way and have all this, but I'm just like, oh, it's just one more thing I have to look up on Pinterest, or I have to figure it out. So it's good to have someone like you, like you said, this is your own personal journey. You like, hey, do this, don't do this. Like I totally messed up. So do you have any stories of that where you're just like, oh, like, it was awful. Like, did you ruin any part of your house? Like, what happened?
So I actually wrote a blog about this and it was very hysterical, but we switched deodorants to natural deodorant.
Okay.
My husband and I both did. And we live in the South. It's very hot and humid. And of course, I decided we should switch deodorants right in the middle of summer, right?
Oh, no.
Smart. Oh my gosh. We had broken out armpits. Nothing worked. We were sweating through everything and it was just miserable. So I'm like, yeah, this wasn't too brilliant. But I learned a lot through that process, right? Not only did I learn what's making us break out in some of these products, but I learned, well, I need to find one that didn't have that, in it or whatever it was. For my husband, it was baking soda. He couldn't use that in a deodorant. But it was like months of broken out, itchy, red armpits, right? And it's so gross. But yeah, through that journey, we actually figured out there's options and there's other things we can do besides not wearing deodorant, right? Because that's not an option. Never.
Not an option.
Oh my gosh, right? Let's live in South Carolina and not wear deodorant.
Oh, oh no. And I'm sitting here. I mean, like I said, we were talking earlier, she's in South Carolina. I'm in Houston. I'm just like summer. Like you'd have to live in the pool, like literally live in the pool that's the only way that would be acceptable.
Yes, exactly. So I share all these, I call them fails, but they become comical stories that we all go through, right? But we did end up finding things that worked. And, again, if it's something you can make and it's simple and it's affordable, or it's something on the market. Now, when it's on the market, what I learned was even when it's under the label of natural or simple or organic, a lot of those things still have a lot of chemicals in them. And what gets you is the fragrance. Most of the fragrances we have are chemical based. So when that happens, you're introducing those toxics right back into your system. So that really became critical to find things that were either unscented or that we could scent ourselves with essential oils that were pure, so that you still get the fragrance, but without the chemical fragrance stuff that's causing the problems.
Okay. So, well, that's when you said that, like just the fragrance and like just the thing that's, the chemical based, like, was there a pivotal moment in this entire journey? Like what initially made you think, man, we just don't need to have this either on our body or in our house? Like, did you have like a moment where you're like, enough is enough, I'm done?
Yes. So my husband is disabled and I started seeing the mountain of prescriptions, right? And prescriptions are super expensive. And it doesn't matter what your healthcare is, they're expensive. And once people get on a lot of these medications, they never get off of them, right? And we all have things that most households have someone in their house that takes a daily medication. And it became really aware to me, especially working in this industry, to go, you know what? If we don't have to get on them in the first place, how much better would we be? Not only from our budget perspective, but our health. So that's what triggered it, was how do I keep us healthy and not have this added expense of medication and doctor's visits and ongoing treatments of things that we could manage ourselves?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what triggered. That was the movement for me. And, obviously working in the industry I do, there's a lot of negativity from, oh my gosh, we need meds. But think about it. You've heard today that antibiotics are no longer effective for us because we've run the course. We're immune to our antibiotics now. Well, that's because we've triggered our bodies to no longer do that work for us. We're relying on drugs and medications to do it instead. And we need to bring it back to a base to allow our bodies to self-heal in a lot of respects and save the medicine for when we truly need it and help us be healthy that way.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it makes sense. It totally makes sense to me too. Well, you mentioned this, like
people, like, are you getting any kind of pushback from people that you work with or in your industry? Are they saying like, you can't write a blog about this? Like,
oh boy.
Like, are you getting any of that? Or is that just something that you think people are thinking about you? Like, has anyone actually said that?
I've heard some of it from doctors. I've switched my family doctor. He actually moved to another clinic, but he was like, I don't want to hear it. This is not my comfort zone. I was like, but it is mine.
Right.
I want this to be part of my care plan. And, so that, I have a new doctor and she's very open to it. But I think it's important to have those conversations with your physician to say, hey, I'm really interested in all the options that could help me be healthier. And that may include natural options, right? And immediately some doctors are going to go, oh, she's been Googling or she's been, WebMDing or whatever they do, right? But some of them are starting to get it. Now, there's some leading organizations like the Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins and Kansas University that have actually started studies about natural treatments in collaboration with traditional Western medicine, so that it's growing into this area, right? Now, doTERRA, this is the other cool thing about that company. They're opening their own health clinics with family doctors who will be able to recommend natural treatments along with Western medicine needs and supports in a very co-planning situation to allow you to really adapt naturally into a treatment that's going to work for you. So the minute it comes to my area, I'm like, that's going to be our doctor, right?
Sign me up.
Yeah, the first two will be in Utah. There's going to be one in Arizona and one in Tennessee this year.
Wow.
And, the difference too is when you go to your doctor, you probably spend about 5 minutes with him, right? And you get a $200 bill. When you go to a doTERRA health clinic, it's going to be a minimum of 30-minute visit with that doctor, really assessing your needs, going through treatment options and figuring out what works best for you. And it's going to be a lot less money. So what is wrong with this?
Right, exactly.
Right?
Well, I just have to applaud you, first of all, for just standing up and saying, like, this is what I want. Like, if you can't, give me what I need, and yes, I have done my own research, whether it's, just asking your grandma, hey, how did you used to treat this or do that? Like, I think that in and of itself is very brave to go against, hey, I'm just going to live my life this way because it's how everybody else is and it's how it's supposed to be. So I applaud you for that. It's very brave.
It really changes your mindset once you start moving in this direction, right? I mean, it really changes how you see what you buy, what you consume, and how you treat your family, in terms of healthcare. It really does make that switch.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, we still drive a minivan. We still go grocery shopping. I mean, we're still normal people, right? It's just, we have taken a different approach to our healthcare and our, personal care around the home.
Well, and you've just taken the lifestyle, the parts of it that you need in your family and have imported it where you need it. So I think that's great. I think it's also a great transition for someone who says they want to do this, like me. They're like, oh yeah, I want to do this, but I don't know where to start. But to hear you say, like, you don't have to be off the grid, like, doing all these things that you hear people doing that's very extreme. And you can just gradually introduce these products and these, I almost want to call them, what is it? Like a daily practice of how you take care of yourself. Like, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And when I transformed our home, that's exactly what I did. I started in one area, and then as we ran out of other things, I found different things to replace them with. And there's a million options out there for finding the right fit for your family. It's just, how much do you want to invest in the time to experiment and find the one that's right for you? And, through my blog or through just reaching out to me, I'm more than happy to help share what we went through, tell you what worked, what didn't, and share some of the comical and not so comical things that went down, right? So, there's more people like me coming out that says we can do this and not be weird about it.
Right. Well, I love that you just said that, because it's totally, first of all, let's do this and not be weird about it. Like that's my quote card, like for this episode, let's do it and not be weird about it. Cause that's awesome. But, you touched on your blog. I want to go back to blog real fast, because, I see that, this is a platform for you to make deeper connections with, women and other people who are, they're moms, they're business owners, like they're trying to just do life. So, are some of the stories that you talk about on there, how you started? I mean, I know you said like you shared your journey and everything. So tell us a little bit more about your blog.
So the blog started out as my way of learning this myself, right? It was my way of journaling what I was learning, having a place. It took me a long time to even publish it, because I was just using it as a place for my notes and experiments and, creativity of what I was going to try and do here. And keep in mind, I still work full time, right? So this was, part-time, just a place to kind of be organized, right? And not have it take up my entire thought process around, well, how am I going to get my family better? How am I going to save money in our budget? This became a place for me to pour those thoughts in. And so it started out with just my place of, okay, I researched how to use frankincense. This was what I learned about why that's a good oil to have, how to use it, what I can apply it to in other areas. At the time, I was just using it in my skincare, and I was seeing some results. I'm like, man, this is great. I'm not buying dermatology-based products anymore. I'm actually seeing some good things happen with just this bottle of oil, right? So I'm like, what else could I use it for? And I got excited. So that's where the blog came from, was just my, exploration into how do you use these oils? What can I make with them? How do I apply them to other areas of my life? And now it's come into how I can, really expand that to help others. And so like this month, my blog theme is all about self-love, because we all start out the new year with these great resolutions that I want to lose weight, I don't want to drink so much, I want to clean up my act, whatever it is, right? And by the third week of January, we're like, that was, I was just drunk or whatever, right? So my theory was, because I'm guilty of it too, right? But my theory was, what if we started out with the thought of self-love and what that means to really understand who we are as people and what our emotional needs are and how that connects to our physical health. So I really dug into this topic, and all this month's been about what is self-love, how do I improve it, especially as working moms. We run these crazy schedules that we have very little time for ourselves. And I'm just as bad as any other mom when it comes to that. But I've turned the table now, and I'm like really speaking to myself on this as well. How do I bring that back to me and stay true to myself? So that next month in February, when I start talking about physical health and progress you can make on this, I've got a good platform, because I've learned to come back to myself and identify with my needs, how to serve those needs in addition to maintaining my family. So, that's really where my blog has come to, is really that deeper level of, not only talking to myself, but I feel like I'm kind of speaking a similar song that a lot of moms can relate to.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Well, and like you said, it's so much of like all this whole concept of living naturally. It's not just about what you have in your house, what you put on your body. It's about a mindset of just taking care of yourself and your family in the best way possible, and in the way that works for you. Because there are a lot of people out there that will tell you, oh my gosh, you use this, like, oh, this is terrible, or you don't use this, or you don't have that. Like, I mean, everyone has an opinion on how everyone else should live their lives, of course.
Yes.
But I really admire that you're just very upfront, and you're like, this is what's worked for our family. And if it works for you too, great. If it doesn't, then like you said several times, like there's so many options out there to, you know, not find something that works for you. So that's,
Correct.
I love all this. Like, yeah, this is good. This is a good topic for sure.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, when you think about it too, not only are you helping your family, but then you're also dealing with the more macro issues of our environment and our economy.
Right.
And you're really challenging manufacturers even to say, we're not going to buy this stuff anymore because it's not good for us.
Right.
You know? So it does end up being that longer term, bigger issue thing that, you know, we have these islands of trash in our ocean, you know, it starts to really ultimately impact that kind of stuff too. So,
Right.
you know, it's not, again, you're doing it with what fits for your family. You're still living life. You're still going to soccer practices and whatnot, but you're having a bigger impact on not only in your house, but on our communities.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And that's so true. I just love how you just throw those little in there. Like, you're still going to soccer practice. As you know, my kids still eat goldfish. Like, it still happens, you know.
Yep, my son still loves those gummy, snacky things. I mean, that's his go-to, right?
Yes.
And you know, just do what I can for him. That's, you know, fitting for us.
Yes, exactly. Well, this is just, it's a great conversation. We're going to have you back on because I feel like we could talk about this for way longer. But I want to get into the next segment of the podcast, which is our Keeping It Real questions. And the first one I have for you is, what motivates you on days when everything is just really tough? You're running late, you've spilled coffee on yourself. I mean, like you said, you have a full-time job. Like, this is your side business. Like, if everything's just going crazy, like, what motivates you to keep going?
Oh my gosh. So yeah. You know, it's at perseverance that I have to do this for my family. You know, I'm there helping them. You know, moms don't often get that day off, right? So it's that suck it up and do it kind of mentality that I have. And, you know, I also try to give myself treats along the way. So, you know, if that means I get 30 minutes on my motorcycle on the weekend, or I get to go to the grocery store by myself, that's, you know, really rewarding for me to kind of push through and, yep, I got this, I can do it. And, you know, there is that ultimate, oh my gosh, I really did pull this off, you know? So I look for those wins. And yep, sometimes I'm going to work with coffee on myself because that's just the way it is, right? I mean, I cannot control every living thing around me. So
Exactly.
You know?
But I like that you said, you know, working in those treats, because I think, like you said, as women and as moms and as just busy people, period, we forget to celebrate, like when you've accomplished a goal or you got dinner on the table. Like, hello, give yourself a pat on the back, you know,
Right.
say, I'm going to have 30 minutes to myself to just sit in silence. I know that's sometimes for me is what it is. I just need silence. No one talk to me. No one go away for a little bit. So that's great. I'm glad that you do that. That's amazing self-care for sure. But, okay, my next question is, do you consider yourself a perfectionist?
On some things, yes.
Something.
Yes. When it comes to housework, I do the best I can, but I'm by no means, you know, whatever that new show is where the decluttering and you get rid of all the stuff.
The Marie Kondo.
That is not me. Yeah, but I am a perfectionist when it comes to, you know, like my business, my blog. I really care about the messaging because I've seen the impact in my own life. So I really care about making that perfect for others to have an easy path to follow. I am a perfectionist when it comes to my quilts. I make quilts on the side, and that is it's a hobby, but I still deeply care about just making everything just really perfect, because whoever buys that, I want them to really enjoy it for a long time. I want them to cherish it, and I want it to hold up, because again, it's that having something that's very basic, like a blanket, be a comfort to someone else. And I'm really meticulous about that.
That's awesome. And you're a rare breed because there's not many people that quilt. My grandmother does, and she lives in Nebraska where she gets snowed in sometimes, and she's like, she loves it. Like I think it's a very, it's a way of self-care too, because it's this quiet activity that you can do, and just the methodology behind it. I think it's really cool. So
I'll admit, I had my earbuds in yesterday doing some quilting, and I was listening to your podcast because I'm like, oh yeah, I need to get caught up on this. I need to listen in. So that was my good excuse of, I got to listen to these podcasts because I'm going to be on this with Crystal, so I need to listen in and get some vibe going. So I was quilting and listening.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, well, here's my last question.
Okay.
For just keeping it real, if you could go back and tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would you tell her?
Oh boy. So much of life can be so frustrating and challenging, and you feel lonely at times, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to accomplish, what I'm working on. And I had a lot of that in my life, where, oh my gosh, this is too big of a mountain for me to go through. And the message I would tell my younger self is, yeah, you can. You really can do this. And, I look at myself now, I'm working full time. I've got this little side business that I'm actively growing and learning about. And I'm doing it every day. And my family's eating and they're clean. And I'm a living example of what I can accomplish. And I wish I could go back and tell my younger self that, and have more confidence in the growth process.
That's awesome. Yeah. I feel like I'm like, amen, sister. Like,
right.
That's awesome. Like, oh, that's so good. Well, yeah, this is just such a great conversation. I'm so happy that you joined us today on the podcast. But Amy, where can everybody find you? Where can we know more about you? Oh, wait, but before you tell us that, I want to know where you came up with the name of your company. So tell us the name of your company again and how you came up with the name.
Yeah, so it's Dragon Spit Apothecary and Crafts. So Dragon Spit was actually my husband's creation. He came up with this name, but he had envisioned this big fiery dragon and, guy thing, right? Real masculine. I'm like, no. Because I'm going to share essential oils. I'm going to share a natural health journey. So it needs to be a dragonfly, And I had a friend of mine, she lives in London. She created my logo for me. And so it came out this really beautiful dragonfly with this burst of blue smoke behind him that he's sharing all this natural goodness, right, from Earth. So it became Dragon Spit. And then, of course, Apothecary because, it's natural health, it's natural living. And it just really fit, right? So it's Dragon Spit Apothecary and Crafts. And we have, I don't know, it's just unique. And once people learn it, they never forget it because it's different, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, we're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And then our blog is on WordPress. So just look up Dragon Spit Apothecary and we pop right up because there's not another one out there. So
very unique. I love the name. So, and you mentioned in crafts, do you do anything else besides quilting, or is that the place where you sell your quilts?
Yeah, it is quilts right now. Ultimately, like right now, we make our own bath soaps, and I make my own dishwasher detergent. Things that we are making in our own home. Eventually, given the bandwidth, I would love to extend selling that as well. Right now, they become really cool gifts for all my friends and family because I love sharing them and they work really well. And people are like, oh my God, that's like awesome. It works.
Right.
But right now, it's just quilts. And it's child and baby quilts because those are really special and unique. And then hopefully eventually we'll add the other things in there.
Well, I love the thought of, you just sound like a person that loves giving gifts and having them custom and made with love. And I think that's very special and something that we need more of in this mass produced world of, like you said, just all the stuff. So I think that's really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. We really enjoyed having you, and I think we're going to have you again because my mom is all, natural, organic stuff, and I'm almost like, okay, I'm going to have to go talk to her and come back and chat with you because I know she's going to have all kinds of questions and things to talk about too. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Amy.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun, and like I said, I appreciate the opportunity to kind of share our journey.
Y'all, Amy's interview was so good. I love her honesty and openness about, you don't have to be at total opposite ends of the spectrum to make a difference or to see changes in your life have a positive impact on everything around you. I love her term, she doesn't want to be the weird granola crunchy, because I feel like whenever we make a change like this, or we're deciding, do I really want to change to this product or that product, or not have any of these products because of the harm that they cause to ourselves, our family, to the environment, whatever the case may be, you don't have to go on this like big mission to change the world. You can do this one small step at a time. And actually, since recording our interview, Amy's convinced me to switch to natural deodorant myself that I found at Costco. So shout out, Amy, like you're making a change in the world one armpit at a time. Okay, that was kind of gross. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it's true. And it's really cool that I can sit here and tell you that this conversation with her had me thinking about the products that we have in our own home. So I encourage you to reach out to Amy, go check out her blog and see some of the cool posts that she has, because she's a really awesome individual. And I think that she has so much to teach us about living a natural life, but doing it in a way that works for us and our families. So that does it for episode number 35. Remember to go check out Amy's blog and see what she has to say. Subscribe to the podcast and be sure to leave a review so you can be entered for one of our drawings. Stay tuned for next week's show. And remember, keep it up, rookies. We all have to start somewhere.
Hey, Profit Podcast listeners, thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message, because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Crystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Crystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.